morning, everyone. I've taken this opportunity to start this session. शुरुआत में कुछ कहना चाहूँगी. आज मेरे अस्तित्व का रंग गुलाबी है. आज मेरे अस्तित्व का रंग गुलाबी है क्योंकि इम्पोस्टर वाली फीलिंग घर की खूंटी पर टांगी है. वैसे तो मुकदमा चलता रहता है खुद का खुद पर हर रोज. वैसे तो मुकदमा चलता रहता है खुद का खुद पर हर रोज. आज दो बातें करने की, किसी के मन को छूने की, अपने ही कर्म के झूले पर झूलने की, कुछ लम्हों की जमानत मांग रखी है. आज मेरे अस्तित्व का रंग गुलाबी है क्योंकि इम्पोस्टर वाली फीलिंग घर की खूंटी पर टांग रखी है. I'll introduce myself again. I'm Nehal and I've been a radio presenter for over a decade. और पिछले कुछ सालों से, 5-6 सालों से, my journey with screenwriting, actually I co-write with a very dear friend of mine, Mitai Shukla, and we started writing Gujarati films, regional films, starting from Lavni Bhavai, Sharto Lagu, Do Not Disturb is a web series that we did, and right now Om Mangalam Singalam is the movie that is running in theatres. And I thought it is only right कि जब these two beautiful guests are here in our city, in this university, and अगर मैं अहमदाबाद से हूँ तो I took this mic and with this the opportunity कि गुजराती में कहे कि मेहमान गति तो आपड़े ज करवी જોઈએ. So I thought I'll only, I should and I could welcome both of them. So Ruchi Joshi.
Yes.
मुझे अभी भी पता चला कि वो मुंबई में पिछले कुछ close to a decade उन्होंने ये समय बिताया है, but she's also lived in Ahmedabad for a long time. And I think हमारी timelines काफ़ी match करती हैं in terms of हमारा काम लोगों तक पहुंचना जैसे शुरू हुआ 2017 में. I was telling her that I find it very weird कि आपकी career की शुरुआत कब हुई, because जब किसी राइटर का पहला काम आप तक पहुंचता है वो उसकी शुरुआत नहीं होती, वो उसकी एक बहुत बड़ी स्ट्रगल की शायद एक अंत होता है जो ऑडियंस के लिए शुरुआत होती है. तो आई थिंक 2017 it was that for me. I think for her also the short film that she made about I think it was a satire on the religious stereotypes that we have, and it was a very interesting story about a Muslim boy who was illiterate. उसका visa reject हो जाता है, कैसे वो plane hijack करता है. It was called The Idiot. And of course, some very interesting web series. वो questions जो शायद आप सब जिससे जूझते हैं, that how to have that perfect life in this life of Instagram filters and perfect photographs, क्या life भी इतनी perfect हो सकती है? उसकी inquiry है शायद The Imperfect and MTV Nishad, which dwells into deeper questions of the struggles that we go through जब हम हमारे सपने शायद पूरे करना चाहते हैं. So that's her. And Urmi ji, I mean, I'm so happy and I'm so lucky to be sitting here besides her. This is exactly, you know, because of these presences, I think I feel this is a moment जो हमने कभी सोचा था कि शायद किसी की लाइफ में देखकर ऑडियंस में बैठे थे और वहाँ से लेकर यहाँ पे आए. तो I think because of you, I'm feeling very grateful right now that she has been in this, you know, she's been doing, I think, one of the most difficult job made easy, screenwriting. 25 साल से भी ज़्यादा हो चुके हैं उनकी शुरुआत को. And you know, it's interesting कि दरमिया शरारत, but rules, प्यार का super hit formula. When I was a school girl, I loved उलझनों को दे दिया है तुमने जो मेरा पता तो. I loved it. And while I was in college and doing my first job, वो phase में your Dibakar Banerjee के साथ सारे association and all those films, I think Oi Lucky or Shanghai, Detective Vyomkesh Bakshi, I think it taught us the importance of having an individual eclectic voice that you must have. So I think वो संस्कार कहीं ना कहीं subconscious mind में भी आएंगे. So thank you.
Sorry, I would like to add one thing about Urmi. So my screenwriting journey actually started a little further back, before 2017. So I wrote the screenplay called All About Her, which was selected for NFTC Screenwriters Lab. Which was a big deal for me. It was my first screenplay and it was selected. And Urmi was my mentor. So I consider Urmi one of my gurus of screenwriting. Urmi, I must mention these names. One is Urmi Juvekar, sorry. My dad will scold me if I say Juvekar. Another is Navdeep Singh, who will be the guest tomorrow here, sitting here. And the third is my husband, Sriram Ganapati. These three people have taught me a lot about screenwriting, and I'll be forever grateful to them. So, Urmi.
So I'll just have one question, and I think we can, get going with that. That I think screenwriting, especially for movies, even series, web series, because there are different formats of writing, but especially screenwriting, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि 15 लोगों की family की एक favorite dish बनाने जैसा है. बहुत ज़्यादा negotiations होते हैं, and उसमें अपना स्वाद maintain रखना is, I think, one of the biggest and basic challenge. तो what would you have to say about your negotiations and transaction with the entire process, both of you?
Okay, you want to start? So I'll tell you one thing. The problem that the problem that it brings actually. So the thing is that I've been writing scripts for series. So I've written one for Hotstar and one for Netflix. And what I see is that, so we have this new format called the writer's room now, which we didn't have earlier, not with films. I don't think we still do with films, but with series we have this format called the writer's room. So what happens is that you have a bunch of writers, 3 people or 4 people come together, discuss the idea, whatever, like you brainstorm, you come up with a story, come up with episodic outlines, etc. And then you have a showrunner who sort of oversees the process. You have producers who have their say. You have people sitting in the studios who have their say. So it is very important to ultimately know who the deciding authority is. So if you have that knowledge right from the beginning, it helps. But a lot of times, like you said, it becomes a khichdi. A lot of times you're not entirely sure what the end goal is. So it's very important to have that if you really want to crack this format.
I look at it slightly differently because, as you said very rightly, that it's a khichdi. But I think all of us, there is one place where you can say no. And I always choose to exercise that right of mine because the world is shifting from stories, art, design, which many of you are, to something that some people control and say the audience wants this. This is marketable. This imagery, this thought is what we will go with. And I refuse to accept that. And I think we all have to somewhere stay true to the fact that why we came into this. If you came into this to earn money, to have your photographs in newspapers, to come here and talk, then of course you make all the possible compromises to reach that stage. But I don't. And I urge more and more people, my working with the lab was just for that reason, that give practitioners that confidence, that pride in their original vision and voice, because the world will keep moving. There are enough people who will say this makes money. And really bad things do make money, as we were talking. So I think with the advance in technology, with all kinds of advancements, it doesn't mean that the new world is a better world. Stop, think, ask yourself why you want to do what you want to do. And then, so I don't want to make khichdi.
And if I could just, pitch in with the regional cinema point of view, because that is where I'm currently in that space. And it's very new, it's very nascent. It's been, 8 to 10 years since we talk about the new wave that hit the Gujarati film industry, where people in multiplexes started watching those films and subjects that were relatable, that were not only depicting a certain kind of cinema. So that's a new wave. But profitability is an issue. Like films breaking even or making profit are very few in numbers. On one hand, there's an obvious lure of catering to what they have identified, what Gujarati audiences really enjoy. They like the abandon, they like the escape, they like to be joyful, they like stories that has families involved. Obviously, they want sense of humor, whatever that you are dealing with, but it has to be
they
funny.
don't want the stuff that is swept under the carpet to be
Yeah,
brought out. Yeah.
So, the first movie that we wrote in 2017 till we are right now in 2023, along with all these challenges, and again, because of COVID, people have started asking those questions that if this is going to come on OTT, why do we, even step into the theaters? And even watching movie in theaters is a costly affair nowadays. But I'm happy to observe that our film that is running right now is talks about relationships but asks really difficult questions. Or there are other films that are running and are going to release. One is a psychotic thriller, and another one is really dipped into a bibhats ras and goes into another direction. One is about a road trip. So we are trying and experimenting and hope that the audience responds to it as well, because so that it becomes a little profitable as well for the producers, so that the business of it continues and it keeps enabling storytellers as well.
Yeah. But what the corporates are learning now is that the audience is more intelligent than they earlier believed them to be. So I think that will bring about a change in terms of the diversity of the stories and the variety of stories that we get, variety of characters that we get. And also we get a chance to dig deeper into the characters. Like, I believe that characters really drive the stories, and if we want to tell good stories, we really need to find some interesting characters. And I believe that, sorry, I'm slightly segueing this conversation into specifics of screenwriting, but I believe that humans are victims to their circumstances. So I mean, if you apply this rule to your characters, you'll really come up with some interesting characters. For instance, I genuinely believe that unless you're put in a certain situation, you don't know how you would behave. I mean, I could be a murderer tomorrow. I could be a fighter. I could be someone who freezes. I have no idea unless I am in that situation. So I feel that with your characters, you need to explore these possibilities and be brave. You cannot say with your character कि अच्छा नहीं ऐसा तो वो नहीं कर सकता, या मैं ऐसा नहीं कर सकती तो वो ऐसा नहीं कर सकता. I think you need to be brave with your characters and explore all kinds of possibilities and come up with situations that are unpredictable, unexpected. And these are the kinds of characters that create great stories. And I think that we are now kind of learning with a lot of these South films which are doing well now, and which are different from our run-of-the-mill sort of stories that we've been watching so far.
I also had one more question. I'm greedy, okay? I am not making this about gender, but since all of us are women, I just want to put this question across, that especially while conceiving characters, because my journey started, the first film was offered to my friend, and he told me that, the central character is a girl, and it'll be good if I have you, because we've had the working chemistry in radio. We were working together for 8 to 10 years. So he thought that, I would add to the narrative, and then we didn't stop writing since then. But I've realized that along with the obvious of women showcasing women the way they are, I think even the male characters that a woman perceives, I'm not saying that if it is about sensitivity or vulnerability or all of that, it can only be portrayed by a female. But you think that probably we have like an easy, not easy, but we access that side more while conceiving characters. Is it a thing at all? What do you have to say, both of you?
Yeah, please.
I think what you bring your point of view, right? And women and men do see the world and experience the world differently. So that's, I think, the reason why women bring a different sensibility. Uh, but it has become like a thing, you know, as you said, that people call you saying that, oh, we have a female-centric thing, so why do you will be a good writer? And I usually end up refusing such projects because I think that's not true. That's not at all true. That we, in fact, I have a feeling that women writers write better male characters, as you said,
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
female
just
characters.
you know, our friends and the actresses in the industry tell us that where are these men that you write, where are they in real life? So yeah.
Yeah. And not as a dream characters, but you do see them differently. So, yeah.
See, I actually don't know if I can differentiate between my male characters and female characters. I mean, what I like,
That is so, that is so beautiful, right?
Yeah. So I, exactly, like for me, I mean, what I look to do with my characters is explore human condition, human nature. I want to delve deeper. I want to go into the darker side of that character. I really want to explore, like, you know, what's deep inside. What are the things that we are afraid of saying, or sometimes even admitting to ourselves. And I want to bring those out through my characters. So I mean, whether it's a male or a female, to me, it really doesn't matter. You know, it's just that these are the things, these are sometimes animalistic things that we are afraid of talking about, forget talking about, even about admitting those to ourselves. And those are the things that I like exploring. And which is what, I mean, these are the things that make them three-dimensional, whether they are men or women, you know, so.
Yeah, and because we used these words, or we often hear these terms, female-centric, or a big-ticket film, or a pan-India film. These are the words that we have been hearing of lately, and because of the boom of the OTT and the access and the options that we have, the different formats that are more and more possible, you know, to greenlight the projects. So in the midst of all of this, with all the experiences that you've had, where do you see the conversation going? Where do you see the trends going? Because I think ye na bante, bikharte definitions hai, something works and then, you know, uske piche pura bandwagon jata hai. What do you really feel about telling stories in these times?
Sorry, I didn't quite get
How do you look at these times when there are so many formulas, so many definitions that people are talking about of what really works, of people going to theaters, of OTT, and any possibility of altering, you know, viewing patterns, the constant discussion around it. What do you have to say about that?
Those I ignore. I mean, I like to tell stories that I like. I mean, I can't be thinking about formulae. I can't be thinking about, you know, who wants what. And very honestly, I don't think anybody on this planet knows what works and what doesn't work. So I mean, who am I to know? And who am I to cater to that, you know? So I like to tell stories that I like. And also, like sometimes, I mean, I don't know if that was a part of your question, but sometimes you create genre pieces. You create these pieces that have existed through tradition. But then you try to push the boundaries with them. You know, you don't want to recreate the same thing. You sort of experiment with them. You do something new with them. You push the boundaries just as you sort of try and test your characters. Just like you get into the heart of your characters, you also experiment with these genre pieces. You know, you sort of try to push the boundary as much as you can and create something new. So I mean, when it comes to sort of the floating conversations about what works and what doesn't work, I don't think anybody knows, and neither do I. So,
I think there is, in all of us now, there is a sudden deep desire for an ideal time. Whether it was in the past or it's now or it's in the future, world has never been a place of stagnation and peace, right? We just don't know it. So obviously there have always been questions about what kind of stories, who should we be telling the stories to? But because we have so much of technology, AI, wanting to draw algorithms which will definitely give you answers. And I think that is the problem. Suffering has always been part of it. All artists have suffered. Everybody has always tried to figure out what is my relevance, what do I see in this world that I occupy today. So somewhere this is becoming a very bad pattern to think that what works, or was there a good time?
Yeah, yeah. And specifically to you, because I think you've been mentoring so many young voices along with the work that you've done. What is it that you've seen? What is that one pleasant thing that you've noticed and one very disturbing fact about how the young minds think and perceive stories?
I think there is nothing wrong with young minds. They are doing fine. It's the older minds which are a problem. Who kind of want to say, no, 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 you can't be that. But they are that. What can I do? So, yeah, I think it's nice. And Ruchi, I have worked with, and I think it's a brilliant idea. She just may not know few tricks. And I'm here to tell them the tricks. But beyond that, nothing. So I don't see there is any problem with youngsters, except their social media addiction.
Yeah, but you think that it's a deeper problem rather than just being a distraction? They're used to looking at world in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah. I do think that, and well, I mean that's a separate discussion. But I think somewhere I wish that they connect more with themselves. Just sort of calm down a bit. But I could be just an older person saying that.
Now that you have come at this place and the journey continues, how do you look at your starting? The session is called Kalam Se. तो आपकी पहली कलम से जब दोस्ती हुई थी, that starting point, what was that and how do you look at it now?
So, मेरी कलम से दोस्ती बहुत, when I was like a little child, I used to write a lot of stories, lot of poems, essays, and I'm always teased by my family that, halfway through the story, most of my characters would die. So they always wondered how I would continue with the story, but somehow I did. And I don't think there were too many ghosts also, so I don't know what I was telling. But anyway, so I guess I was always fond of telling interesting, new, different stories. And so I used to always write, and I knew, and also early on I knew that I wanted to be associated with films because I have a lot of writers in my family, a lot of media persons. So I always knew I wanted to be associated with films. So growing up, once I finished my college, I went to Australia. I studied cinema studies, which is purely theoretical. But for the thesis, I requested them that I wanted to write a creative thesis, which was a full-length feature screenplay. And I don't know if that screenplay was very good. My dad doesn't think so. But where I gained the confidence was that I could finish it. That I wrote a 120-page screenplay. And that gave me a lot of confidence. And then I came to Bombay. Like I already told you, I sort of wrote all about her, which got selected, which gave me a lot of confidence again. Working with her, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from Navdeep. And then other people, so I sort of gained a lot of confidence in the process. Then, so yeah, basically my starting point was when I was very little.
Again, a completely different thing. I can't write, okay? Which means that I cannot use text the way you use it. You can write a poem. I can't do that. I write for the screen, which means I know what works on screen, which means I know what is needed to make that, how to tell that story, and which is really dependent on action, understanding of that medium. I cannot write you, I will die if you ask me to write 4 sentences of literature. So I really feel that screenwriters are a separate, they need a separate kind of training. They don't necessarily need the training that a literature person needs, And also, And so I have always been involved in this profession from my childhood. So for me, it was it's like from a buffet. I said that okay, I prefer writing. So screenplay writing is what I prefer. But no, not writing. So Kalam says for me a very wrong panel to be on.
No, but actually, Urmi, I also can't write prose anymore. I mean, I just can't. I used to when I was a child, and that's what, like, for me,
Correct.
what happened was that I used to write. Enjoyed telling stories, and my exposure to cinema gave me a platform. You know, so two things came together for me that was like, okay, I like films, I like writing, what is the best thing to do? And that's how screenwriting came in. But
Right,
I
right.
can't write prose anymore. I mean, there are people who tell me, why don't you write a novel? I'm like, I can't write a novel.
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's similar for me in some sense that because I co-write, we are two of us. So I think I write the least, but discussing the characters and how the story is going to flow, I always say in both of us, uska karm बहुत strong है, मेरा धर्म बहुत strong है of writing. So when it comes to screenwriting, I think writing is something that happens at the last, but the churning and the discussion and how the story is going to go, that comes very naturally to me. But this poetry writing, what the interesting interaction that happened because of writing, because when I started writing movies, my first, because we talked about the first starting point, I think I see a lot of innocence in my first step towards screenwriting because it was just that someone asked and it was commissioned. I did not like write a script and went to directors and producers, can you write this? So I had no idea. It came to me first. मैं writing तक पहुँचूँ, उसके पहले screenwriting मुझ तक पहुँचा था because I loved films, you know.
Right.
So I was this very, very excited and grateful kid who was every day was like, oh my God, we're writing a movie. Oh my God, we're writing a movie. And towards the completion, when we received our first paycheck, it is then when I realized कि अच्छा इसके पैसे होते हैं because it was so pure and so pious for me. But then later on, after a few movies and few web series, I think what naturally happens to all of us in our journeys is that we start developing our voice. It becomes more sharper.
Yeah.
You know, and you start having ideas that these are the kinds of people that you want to write about. These are the kind of stories or people or problems, you know. And in that, somewhere, because I co-write, it starts only with negotiation. We are the two of us. And then whatever that is right for the film, that point of view remains. It's not my or his. So somewhere, probably, there must be the need for individual expression. So this just happened. It just struck me, and I started writing. So when I write poetry, it only comes to me in Hindi. I write screenwriting in Gujarati. So that has been a mix of writing for me. But I genuinely wanted to. I wanted to ask you because both of you have written for different formats. You've done short films and you've been involved with documentary making. So you think that had any kind of conscious or subconscious influence on looking at the world of the films that you've been a part of, documentaries or the short filmmaking? Because the grammars of it, they're different. So when you are writing, say, for films, or does it?
I think it's more than grammar aesthetics, no? So you can look at a filmic reality and write for that, but because I like the documentary, which is also highly constructed today. It's no longer just you go and make a documentary. Documentaries are very, very constructed. They have act structures, they have suspense, you reveal when you are revealing. So drama structure remains the same. So only visual aesthetics is what is the common language. Because drama is the same. Drama is drama. That whether you do a play or a film or short film or a documentary, that will not change the viewership drama. So no, I don't think. I think it's just the aesthetics that I like people to look real.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That because when you're building characters or story, do you want them to be real?
I like them real, but which does not mean that I don't like to watch Unreal.
Of course, of course.
You know,
Yeah, yeah.
or that it is lower. Like, I think certain stories, certain makers, certain writers have that voice, which is grand, which is fantastic, and I love that. It's just I don't do it because I can't do it.
In fact, no, I feel that, you know, once you've set a world and you've set your characters in that world, then you can be as larger than life as you want to be. You know, if you took a certain world and then put a very real character or a very unreal character in that world, then it would strike as odd. But you just have to you just have to know what world you're creating and then fit your characters accordingly. And then you of course give a visual treatment also accordingly. Just be consistent, and you can tell your Harry Potters stories about your Harry Potters or the realest of characters. You know, so
And which is
it's
very
just-
real.
yeah.
Harry Potter
Yeah,
is
yeah,
actually
absolutely.
very
I mean, eventually it comes down to emotions, and emotions are universal. So, yeah.
Yeah, talking about emotion, do you miss romance on screen?
Why
Do you
miss?
think
Don't
do you think
have enough?
we as people right now at this time and age are we too self-aware to go back to the very uh, simplistic romance, or probably do you miss romance on screen? Do you miss romance on screen? All of you? Yes.
Okay.
because the images now of that romance doesn't exist for the kids, and then
I miss romance.
relationships. So yeah, they are the ones who are going to decide if there'll be romance or not. And I believe there are students have a lot of questions, is what I've been told.
Sure, sure, sure. We can start with the questions. Yeah. Yeah.
You want us to start with the questions?
Yeah. Do we have a mic in the? Yeah, we can start with the questions. Does anybody have any questions? Do you?
Actually, then I'll ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Urmi, this is for you. I mean, so I lately have also started directing, and also that was something that I at least wanted to do with my own films. Like I mean, not always, but a lot of my scripts are written knowing that I want to direct them someday. And unless a Scorsese comes along and tells me that I want to direct this, I don't think I'd be very happy to hand those over. So, I wanted to ask you how you feel comfortable writing for someone else and handing over something that you obviously cherish and feel close to.
Okay. Now, I started working in the time when certain dreams were not possible, right? So, I chose, and according to my personality, I chose writing. For me, it is like, do I really want to direct in this world with these people? And the answer was clearly no. Whereas, I think today, and which is what I'm very happy about, younger writers are saying that no, 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 no. And of course, I had to make a lot of compromises, take a lot of nonsense from directors to and it was about and go through a lot of ego and power struggles, right? However, then that was the universe. So picked up people that you were really comfortable fighting with, where the fight did not mean loss of honor, dignity, or anything. And as you said with your co-writer, it is a struggle, and I take that struggle as a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good,
That
good one.
that any kind of struggle. So I think this is my answer to your question. However, today the good part is I see so many girls saying what Ruchi is saying, that no, we don't want to work with people who are going to make us feel humiliated. And part of me really worries that is that the world we are getting into, that you are no longer actually going to find people you can truly vibe with at an equal level. You know, and that's kind of, these are not nice things to hear. I mean, at one level, it's very nice to hear all women saying that, no, we want to direct our own material. It's fantastic.
So,
But as a-
ladies,
but-
related to that, I have a question. That as writers, are you willing to let go to allow the director to take your vision forward? And another adjoining question, would you be happier, would you rather be on set to see that interpretation grow, modify, be changed? Or would you rather not be associated once you have handed over the baton to the director?
Can I? Haan, jo bhi. Sure. Okay. So, so I feel that I feel I'm visually very strong. That I believe about myself. So when I write a script, I visualize a lot. And also in terms of treatment. I know exactly, if it's humor, I know how to present this humor. I know if it's a drama that I want to do choreographed chaos, for instance, in this particular film, or I want to do a Wes Anderson-esque treatment in this particular film. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but that is the kind of visualization I do even as I'm writing. So I mean, which is why or there's this script of mine which is which I visualize as a very Tati-esque film, where you have these sort of physical performance, physical comedy or visual comedy. So when I write, I do that, which is why I personally find it very difficult to hand over a script of mine to a director, unless it's a commission project. So if a director has come to me and said that this is the story I'd like you to develop, I would write it, hand it over happily, and then I would like to be in some control of it. I mean, but I think that, that is a writer's, that's a disease, I think. But that I would probably be more comfortable handing over.
Okay, for me, I don't, I have asked myself this question, what do I bring to the table as a writer? And I feel I bring unity of thought. That the universe is is the theme, the characters falling in the theme, the world. So the thematics is what I bring to the table. After having said that, I think text writing and filmmaking, these are two different worlds. Like for example, text, and many of you again design people know this. Text you read in a very decided way. It can be up, down, down, up, left, right, right, left. There is a control, but the visuals work very differently. It has its own grammar. The adaptation of text into visuals is a very different process. So, as to answer your thing, that suppose if an actor, I have written, that is a tall, fair man, and casting person says, no, this guy is a good guy, and the person is probably a woman or a short one. Somebody really gives you a different spin. Does it mean that something has changed or something has added? And I think that is the question. Many times I have seen that we write, and because Rajaji himself is an actor, and I would like to say a certain larger gratitude for this, because as a writer, I'm looking at 10 characters. No matter how deeply involved I am and thought of them, I can never match what an actor of that particular role can bring to the table. They bring really the physicality and visceralness. So I feel that after finishing the script, there is a whole universe. Yeah. Mostly, I don't want to really be involved in it, but that's with me as a person. I don't like to be involved. However, I want to know what is going on. And then the next stage where I really like to be involved is editing. Because I think the director, the actors, the cinematographer, they do their own work. And in good situation, they always take it up. Rarely I have seen it come down unless the director and everybody has gotten into a bad space. So does that answer your question?
So trusting the director with your writing or your text is important.
Very important. That's the crux.
I've had this similar experience, and I think the degree of change is very important when we say that, when we talk about change, because as you rightly said, that after writing the script, I think when the director is giving the visual language, is applying the visual language, when the actors are trying to have their own thing and interpret it in their own way, if it is about making it conducive, It is about those adapting in a way where the DNA doesn't change, or like you said, if an actor is that of a caliber like you, or someone is bringing their own very, that is only adding or enhancing, then obviously I think I or us, two of us as writers should be open for it, and it is also subjective on the kind of script and the kind of project that it is. Like if like we have done relationship based or romantic story, and it has been a little bit cinematic in that sense. So when I know that this is the language that is happening, then it is collaboration. But if we are doing a web series and the concept, it was more on the written word, it was based, the concept was more idea intensive or dialogue intensive, then we were on the set every day, rehearsing the lines, making sure that it doesn't divert. So I think it depends on the project and the degree of change. And is it enhancing the DNA or actually really changing it and making it something else?
But also,
Writers are very dramatic, by the way. We just love our unhappiness.
No, but also, so I have also directed stuff written by others. And let me tell you that I hate it when writers get involved in my directing process.
I can quite understand that, because I worked with so many writers, and as a director, initially I like them to be involved, sitting in on the readings of rehearsal, and then I say, now disappear.
Yeah.
And maybe call them at a much, much later stage that, मुझे ये बताओ कि अभी आपकी जो लेखनी है, इसको एक नया रूप जो मैंने दिया है, कुछ खटकता तो नहीं आपको? You must tell me now. Don't tell me in the final run of things.
तो थोड़ा separation चाहिए, even if with that relationship,
because that then also allows the director to be free and enhance that piece of writing, and then for the actor to take over from there as well.
And I think the faith develops, I think, when you're writing, how much are you, if you have the opportunity to have the director on board while you're writing, and if the process has been more involved in that sense, then I think that faith comes easier, where when the direction starts, when that process starts, that, the field in which that they are going to play, you're in an easy space to let it all flow and fly, because you've had that connection with the director. But if you haven't had that kind of feeling, and if you have that kind of insecurity in you as a writer, then I think it's a tough negotiation. Yeah? We don't have any other questions, right? Okay.
Hello. I'm coming back to romance. The question she asked about romance to the students, and students immediately said no. But I really don't agree with either student's response, meaning that one of the Ruchi's series is imperfect, which is based, I think, on romance, because the girl craves for the romance all through and she doesn't get it. But she keeps craving and she keeps frustrating. I don't know, Ruchi can throw more light on that. But in my class, I asked students, do you know about this series? I thought nobody will respond me. Nobody will say, we know about this series. But every student said, yeah, and it's a very good series, and this and that. I didn't tell, this is my daughter's series or anything. I just asked, Imperfect. Have you seen Imperfect? And they knew about Imperfect, and they liked the series very much.
But so I think when it comes to romance, I feel that people are tired of the same old romance. I think what is expected is for you to find a different language in romance. I mean, if you are able to tell a story which is, I don't think there's any problem. So this is also a question that I get asked when I meet people, is what genre do I like? And I don't think I have an answer to that. I don't like any particular genre or not like any particular genre. I mean, I like stories. I like characters. And if you are able to tell a new story within that genre, then it interests me. So I think the problem is with telling the same old story in the same old fashion, Like, in fact, 2 days back, a big producer, a big director who's known for romance films was asking a friend if they have a script which is romance but pushing boundaries. So I mean, So I mean, if we are able to create something like that, then I think people would enjoy. Then you won't get your immediate no's. But students said yes. No, a lot of them said no also. I think
Sorry,
the cooler ones
it
said no.
wasn't about romance or in the film, but it was about the students' response. Because you asked the question that we don't like romance. Do you like? So they wanted to say no.
I think it's cool to say no to romance.
No, I think the question was that do you miss romance on screen? And I think most of that's how I understood it. That they said yes, and I was meaning a little old school, you know, kind of romance. There was a time when we used to, you know, romantic stories, and now that, you know, we have the kind of content that we have, and the whole idea was that are we too self-aware to go back to the innocence of romance?
And also romance has become non-romantic, right? Romance is about adventure. That's the dictionary meaning. So now the moment you take away adventure from romance, what do we are left with?
So I think we've reached towards the completion of this. This is a moment that is very, very special to me. And thank you, even though, you know, we're all in the same panel, but Ahmedabad ની છું. એટલે તમને ભાવભીનું આમંત્રણ જે અમને accept કર્યું. And I think we had a wonderful start to this day. And these are the moments, you know, that go down to the very special box inside my heart. And that's why I feel like sharing one more thing towards the end of something that I remind myself that is about writing and all the essence of writing that we have discussed today. So just that I want to share it with all of you. लिख, सब भूल के लिख, दिल खोल के लिख, हंसने के लिए लिख, रोने के लिए लिख, महसूस करने के लिए लिख, लिख कि तू सांस ले पाए, लिख कि कोई और जी पाए, लिख अपने बदलते हुए शरीर को लिख, अपने उभरते हुए दिमाग को लिख, अपने उमड़ते हुए मन को लिख, लिख अपने अनजान दोस्तों के लिए लिख, अपने ही मन में बैठे दुश्मन के लिए लिख, प्रेम की बाढ़ आ जाए कुछ ऐसा लिख, मर्जी की लहर में नफरत डूब जाए कुछ यूं लिख, लिख शब्दों का जैज लिख, मन का सितार लिख, लम्हों की बांसुरी लिख, आंसुओं की वीणा लिख, माँ के हाथ लिख, बालों का झूड़ा लिख, बच्चे के सुगंध लिख, खुद से खुद का संबंध लिख, लिख घर के हर कोने की सजावट लिख, मन के हर कोने की बगावत लिख, किसी के छुअन की लोरी लिख, किसी के छुअन की दबी हुई टीस लिख, लिख अपनी ममता अपना अहंकार लिख, अपनी गलतियां अपनी सच्चाइयां लिख, अपनी जिद अपनी हट अपनी अच्छाइयाँ लिख, चुंबन लिख, पूजा का फूल लिख, अपने हाथ की चाय गर्दन का तिल लिख, साड़ी खून झुरिया उबासी पेड़ पहाड़ नदी ब्रह्मांड मैगी ओवरीज हार्मोन्स ताकत कसरत ओम गर्भ सूरज रात चांद सेक्स सिगरेट काजल कृष्ण द्रौपदी मेहंदी लाल रंग भजन कीर्तन दिया साथी संस्कृति बदलाव दिव्यता भव्यता बिग बैंग साइंस पोएट्री हिस्ट्री सरियलिज्म एग्जिस्टेंशियलिज्म खालीपन भरा मन आखिरी सांस सब लिख लिख This is a reminder to myself, to all of you, and thank you both of you for the conversation and the inspiration. Thank you.